Hi everybody, Dr. Jim Petrick here. Hey, can you think of 7 places that you'd like to visit in Europe someday? What about 7 professional sports teams? Can you think of them right off the top of your head? Now here's a stumper for you. Are you ready? Quick. Name 7 things that you and your family members can do every single day in order to make sure that you're functioning your best. Yeah, chances are you probably didn't do too well on that last question. You probably couldn't think of those answers as easily as you did to the first 2 questions. And that's not a good thing. I would argue that you should have done the best on that last question. You know, you can plan the next vacation, you can get a new car, you can get a new truck, but you can't replace the body that you have right now. So it's important to take care of it. Now, I heard a saying recently that goes, optimal structure equals optimal function. And I thought of the Romans, I thought of the ancient Romans, and when I think of Rome, I think of the Atlas Titan, of course, being a Nuka doctor, holding the world on his shoulders, the Atlas guy. But I also think of the old Colosseum, which is just an amazing structure. I'd love to visit it someday. And I think of the aqueduct system. Now here you have these amazing structures that would run for miles and miles and miles to nourish the cities, the towns, the businesses, the homes with really close to fresh water. And they would go through the hills, over the valleys. I mean, we're talking about miles and miles of run with hardly any slope to them at all. The water wasn't sloshing around over the sides. These were amazing structures, and many of them are even standing to this day. And those guys really had it down. They really knew that an optimal structure brings optimal function. Now, my ultimate resilience building, health optimizing 7-step guide to performing your best has 7 things that you can do to take care of yourself. 6 of them being directly having to do with holding your adjustment better. And you should memorize these bullet points. That's really important. If you don't, adapt my philosophy on how to take care of yourself, get your own. The point is that you need an organized strategy, paradigm from which to operate from. You're hit with so many messages. Advertisers spend millions of dollars every year trying to make you think that health really isn't your responsibility, that it comes from a bottle, that all you need to do is just listen to your doctor, that your insurance, perhaps HMO, has a certain, kind of protocol as to what's to happen for you, but that's not necessarily the best thing. So I want to encourage you, like I do my patients, you really need to know a little bit about a lot so that you can make the best decisions, most empowered decisions for you and your family. We're not talking about these fads that kind of come and go in these crash kind of diets that don't really have any long-term results. We're talking about time-tested principles that don't change, okay? So, for example, creating peace and energy breathing. There's some modern technologies and good research on how to do this within our high-tech, high-pace society that we live in, how to create peace within that, to be as resilient as possible to the things that may break you down: physical stress, chemical, mental, and emotional stress. Now you might be wondering, why do we have 7? Why not 6? Why not 8? Well, psychological experiments from the 1950s concluded that there's a magic number 7. That's the brain's working memory. That's how many things that we can kind of logically flow with at a time. Our memory, for some reason, is much better if we have a list of 7 things to remember as opposed to 6. And that's probably why our phone numbers are 7 digits. Now, one thing that I was pretty upset about a few years ago, you might recall during the presidential debates between Senator McCain and Senator Obama, before the economy sort of took a bit of a downturn, the main thing that they were debating about, and I was yelling at the TV screen and YouTube about, was not on how people should educate themselves on healthcare, how to take care of themselves, how to make the best decisions for themselves, the best websites, the best kind of resources to go to. It was how much the employer, the corporate employer, is responsible for the employees' health benefits. And not only that, to what extent. Should they have umbrella sort of coverage for the whole entire family, the children and the spouse of the worker? What should the deductibles be? What about families that don't have as much money? What about ones that have more money? And, you know, your health is your responsibility. It's not your doctor's. It's not your insurance panel. You know, the insurance companies don't have big, beautiful buildings for nothing, you know, for paying out on health expenditures. So that's really important, to adopt your own philosophy, your family's own health and wellness plan. If you don't like mine, get your own. But I really like mine. In fact, we're going to be talking more. I'm going to be having a seminar on the vital waters and high energy nutrition, which are steps 3 and 4, on April 21st, I believe it is, a Saturday at 11:30. So be sure to sign up for that if you haven't yet. The one that we put on a couple of weeks ago for creating peace and energy breathing, it was pretty much standing room only, literally. We had the door open in the conference room, and we had a chair actually lined up so that they could see the presentation as it was going on, because we didn't have any more chairs in the conference room. So remember, optimal structure equals optimal function, and my 7.7, the magical number 7, booklet on performing your best, which I call the Ultimate 7, is an optimal structure, an optimal way for you to remember, to have a working philosophy, to have a working paradigm or concept of reality, concept or a view on how you make your major decisions. And it's important because you do have a philosophy. I just want to make sure that it's not based on some subliminal, unconscious thing that was, you know, kind of downloaded into you by pop culture, and that it's something that you put some pre-thought into. Is it congruent or is it not congruent? And the more congruent decisions that you can make about your health, the more successful you're going to be overall in your health.